back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a match preview for Newcastle United's game this weekend against Spurs. That's right, it's the battle for fourth place. The Champions League contenders going head-to-head at St James's Park. Absolutely buzzing for this game, especially off the back of a poor result against Villa. Eddie's going to have the boys massively up for this game. We're going to get stuck right into this in a minute. Just have a look at the potential lineup and how we think the game is going to go. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We'd love you to come and join us. We're over 2,800 subs now, so we're closing in that 3,000 mark. With your help, we can get there. Loads of content on Evermore, 2 weekly shows, Mondays and Wednesdays, and pop-up videos, just like the preview one you're going to watch. Hit the button. You won't regret it. There's room for a Newcastle United podcast in your life, a new one. Make it Evermore, everybody. Right, let's get stuck in then. So, yes, off the back of last week's, got to be said, disappointing defeat against Aston Villa, where Newcastle completely outplayed and outfought. We go into a huge game here against Spurs. Spurs have been pretty crap this season, and they've got the Conte's assistant at the helm, who looks to be just as lost as he was, really in charge. So they're not in great form either going into this game. A lot of Spurs fans are already feeling a bit, we're really a bit pensive about this game. It's lovely to be that team to somebody else for a change, as we used to be the other way around for many years. But we go into this game 3 points out of Spurs with the game in hand. We've still got that game in hand, even after we play this game. And I really think this is a chance for the lads to bounce back and put a few of the wrongs right that they made against Villa last week. So how do I think we're going to line up? This is how I think we're going to line up. I personally would change Dan Burn for Matty Targett. I think Dan Burn looks a bit knackered, but I don't think Eddie Howe will. I think Eddie Howe will keep the same back five that he always keeps. And he'll go for that back five right across the middle with Pope in between the sticks. Where I think we'll see some changes is Gordon was really poor last week against Villa. I think that was a big opportunity for him that he didn't take. I think he'll drop off to the bench. Miggy will be back. Miggy's had another week in training. He'll look a bit sharper, be a bit fitter. Miggy's massive for us on that right-hand side. Having Shaw Longstaff back from that illness has been huge as well. I think last week, as already said on the podcast, we didn't realise how much we missed Shaw Longstaff's energy in that side until it wasn't there. And it was a huge hole in the midfield that thankfully Sean should be back to fill this Sunday. Moving Joe Willock into the left-hand side of that front three with Isak through the middle. I know Wilson's got a really good goal record against Spurs, but I do think he'll be an impact player again. And Isak will lead the line, obviously, with Bruno and Joe in the middle of the park. So that's a strong team, that. I think that's probably one of the strongest teams we could field really at the moment. And I think the lads will go into this with a point to prove. After last week, I don't know if Eddie's a teacup throwing manager, but I'm pretty sure he's had a few choice words behind the scenes because we just didn't get going last week against Villa at all. We were second to every single ball, every single challenge. We didn't have the intensity or the desire. I think I said it in the post-match for Villa, that Villa, Newcastle really. But we're going to be home in front of that amazing crowd. War flags will have another display up, I'm sure. Everyone will be buzzing. Sunday afternoon game, 2:00. There'll be time for a couple of pints, but not too many. So the atmosphere will be raucous. Everyone will be sharp, raring to go. And I really fancy us in this game. I'm not sure Spurs have got a great deal in the tank outside of their main man, Harry Kane, who's always a threat. Yes, Son is a good player, but he's been poor this season. If you take Kane and Son out of that team, they're rank average, in my opinion. But in terms of their team lineup and what possibly could happen for them, they have got a few knocks going into this game. So Lucas Moura is suspended. Bentancur's knee injury, obviously keeping them out, which is a huge thing for them. Emerson Royale, knee injury. Basuma's ankle. Sessegnon doesn't really play as a hamstring. Ben Davies is only thought to have a slim chance of recovering from an injury of his own. And I think Stellini is reluctant to put Sanchez back into the mix, especially after he was booed off by his own fans the other week. I think PK was licking his chops at the prospect of Sanchez trying to mark Isak. That is going to be an absolute slaughter if that is the case. Sanchez is erratic as anything. I think even Jose Mourinho said that when he was there, I think. And if Sanchez plays against Isak with that pace and Miggy with that pace and Willock as well, the way he finds space, I think Spurs will be in big trouble. But the Kane's their main man. There's no doubt about that at all. Højbjerg's decent in midfield, but I think Bruno and Joe will have too much for him. I think Romero and Dyer are shaky as well. I think with Isak's movement and his ability to shift the ball foot to foot and drop a shoulder, beat them for pace, drop deep, get involved in the game. I really think that Isak will have these two on Sunday, and I'm backing us for a win on Sunday. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Newcastle United, and I think that more or less ends Spurs' top 4 challenge. That might be a bit absolute, but I just think with the games they've got coming up off the back of us as well, I can't see them getting many wins. And I think if we beat them at St James's, which I think we will, 2-1 to us, I think we could really put some daylight between us and them for that final top 4 position, and we've still got that game in hand as well. But let's have a look at the head-to-heads. So, like I say, we're sitting 4th, they're sitting 5th. League form-wise, they have got a slightly better league form than us, I suppose, if you look at the last 5 games, where they were unbeaten and we lost against Villa. But in 55 Premier League games, we've only won 23 to Spurs' 24. So even though we've been shit for the majority of that, still quite close. 8 draws, Newcastle got 83 goals and Spurs got 87. So there is goals in these games, no doubt about that. The reverse fixture this season at Spurs was a 2-1 win with that lovely Callum Wilson goal. And Miggy as well, remember that. The last home win versus Spurs in 2016 was when we got relegated, which was 5-1. I remember I think it was the game that convinced Rafa to stay, wasn't it? Callum Wilson has scored 3 in 5 against Spurs, so there's a bit of an argument to start Wilson, in all fairness. But Isak has a goal every 113 minutes. He's only second to the Terminator, that is Erling Haaland. So our strikers looking good for this fixture. Wilson likes this team. He likes to score goals against this team. It's not quite West Ham for him, but he likes this team. And Isak is obviously on fire as well. So I think between them two, we'll have too much for the likes of Romero and Dyer. And certainly if Sanchez plays, I think he'll get tortured. But it won't be a slam dunker by any stretch of the imagination. But I think if we start the game on the front foot with that intensity, with the fans, with the crowd behind us, with a chance to prove that last week was just a blip, and we're not tipping over here. I really think we'll have too much for Spurs, and outside of that main man who is a phenomenal goal scorer, there's no question about that. In Harry Kane, if we can keep him quiet, if the Rolls Royce can keep him in the pocket, I think we've got a really good chance of keeping Spurs toothless for this game. So, yeah, I'm going 3 points Newcastle. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Whether you think we're going to win the game, and hopefully this will push us even further into the top 4. You can hear that Champions League music already. Oh, it's such a sweet tune. If it's the kind of thing you like, please remember to click subscribe. I'd love you to come and join us. And if you like the video, Mark will tell me off if I don't tell you that. If you like the video, it helps get around YouTube. It really helps the channel grow. So this is Chris signing off. Until then, just keep supporting that team. We'll call United. I'll wear the lads for Sunday. Another 3 points in the bag. And let's get to Europe. We'll see you later, everyone. Cheers.